Okay, so today we are talking about shrimp food. So I want to give you guys this skinny because there is so much confusion. There's always been confusion about shrimp food. Emily is laughing like if you guys see the camera going like this, it's because Emily's like, I don't even know why, but we're gonna keep filming. So we're talking about shrimp food. We're talking about all the reasons that people make mistakes, the mistakes that they make, why they make the mistakes, and really, how do you do this thing? Because it shouldn't be this confusing. This is literally like we're feeding an animal. I'm gonna try to give you all the information that you need to do this right. What is going on, shrimp curators? I'm Rob with flipaquatics.com, and today you know what we're talking about, and it's shrimp food. So let's get right into it. So first of all, I got a couple different shrimp foods set out that we're gonna talk about today. So I wanna give you first the overview. So the first thing that you're gonna need is a complete food. The second thing you're gonna need is, let's call it a mineral food. So this would be like a mineral food. The third thing that you're gonna need is gonna be what I call a protein food. So a high protein food. And then this one represents like, hey, you just wanna give a little something different. This is the other types of food. So there's 4 categories of food that we're gonna talk about. And now the food that we're using today is from Shrimp Envy. So huge shout out to Shrimp Envy. They are a sponsor of flipaquatics. They support us. We super appreciate them. We feed all their food to our Caridina, and that's why they became a sponsor, is because we work with them. So don't think that this is like, hey, this is sponsored content. I'm here to convince you to buy Shrimp Envy. That's not my point. We're 100% gonna go through all the different avenues of shrimp food, what you guys need to know and why you need to know. So first of all, let's just talk about, okay, so I got this shrimp tank. If you guys have been keeping fish for a long time, how much do you actually feed? Because fish and shrimp are completely different. So in a fish tank, I'll sit here, I'll feed whatever they can eat in the first 1 to 2 minutes. That's how much I feed them. I don't want there to be leftover food on the bottom. That's the appropriate way to feed fish. Shrimp, there's no way, like if I go on the 2-minute mark, like they haven't even got to the food yet. So what is the appropriate amount to feed? How do you know when you fed too much? If there's food there the next day, is that bad? All the things. So first of all, how much do you feed? If they can consume it in 2 hours, that's the appropriate amount. If I feed food in here today and none of them go to eat it, what I'm gonna do is wait 3 or 4 days and then feed them again. Shrimp don't need, that's the other thing, is shrimp don't need fed every single day. So listen, like if you just look, we have all of these tanks, and these are just like a fraction of the tanks. Like we have thousands of tanks. I've been doing this for 10 years. So when I give you this information, this isn't just like, hey, you just AI'd an article on like, hey, how to feed my shrimp, and you're just taking like random information. Like this is coming from someone who has done this for years and years and years with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of shrimp. So like, I promise you, this is coming from a place of like, I've done this, I've experienced it, I've made mistakes, and I want to give you guys the best information possible. So there's a lot of things that you need to know. And the first thing is just how much to feed. So 2 hours, if it's still there, it's not good. If they're not even touching the food, go a couple days. Shrimp don't need fed every single day. Now, there are situations where they do. If you have a colony, like, let's just look for something that is like a heavy colony. These guys. There's about 150 tiger shrimp in here. Maybe closer to 100, but anywhere between like 100 and 200 is how many are in here. They're big, they're monstrous. These guys need fed every day, at least most days. I feed them, full transparency, I feed them 5 days a week. I don't feed them on Saturday and Sunday, just because Saturday and Sunday we're in and out. We're trying not to be here for 8 hours. So these guys get fed 5 days a week, and they eat a ton. So this would be one that I would feed most of the time. Now, look at this tank. These are orange-eyed blue tigers. There's not as many in here. There's less amounts. So like these guys I fed yesterday, there's still food in here today. I fed them late yesterday, so I overfed yesterday. So today I'm not gonna feed them. I gotta remove the uneaten food. Otherwise, they're gonna keep eating this food. It's gonna foul The water, it's gonna get old. Think of like, if I was gonna eat something today and I heat it up in the microwave and I let it sit there for 6 hours and I went to go eat it, there's a good chance that bacteria started forming. I might get food poisoning. Now, if I wait 24 hours and ate that, now like there's even a better chance of me getting sick. You know, chicken isn't gonna stay good on the counter for 24 hours with no temperature control. And so the same thing applies to these shrimp. So like if they're eating food that's been there for 24 hours, there's a chance there's bacteria growing on there that's not good for them, that could make them sick, could introduce all these things to your colony. So 2 hours is your limit. Obviously, I overfed this tank. Now I know, now I can deal with that today and be proactive about it. So that's just the basics to feeding. 2 hours, you don't have to feed every day, every other day, take a couple days off, whatever you wanna do. So we'll go back over here and I wanna talk about the different food types. So there's a bunch of different food types that you need to know. There's 4 main categories. So this is what I love about Shrimp Envy. This was their original design. This is their complete food. Now, here's the problem with this is you go to break it and it's not the easiest thing in the world to break. I mean, like this piece is breaking pretty easy. But there's some that like, you know, this one, like, how are you going to break this little piece? So don't love it. Don't love it. So what we do, and just so you know that this is actually, you know, what we feed. Where is it? So you know this is exactly what we feed. We take this and we put this in like, kind of like a coffee grinder, food processor type thing. Grind it up into really fine pellets and then we feed it like this. It makes it much easier on us. But Shrimp Envy changed their design and went to like this long pellet type thing, which I love. And so it's like super easy to break this up. And they cook it at a really low temperature so it maintains the nutritional value, which makes it even easier to break. So like if you get some that are just super hard, it's probably because it was cooked really at a really high temperature, hard to break, or it might be really brittle. So a complete food. A complete food is like your number one. This is the thing that they get most of the time. Now, that is like your staple food, what you're gonna feed almost every time that you feed. But when do you need to feed something else? So like, let's start with mineral food. So this is something that's good to feed, you know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, but is very important if you go to a tank and you're looking at it and you see one of your shrimp is struggling to molt. Well, if they're struggling to molt, it could mean 2 things. It could mean there's something in your tank that is causing them to be stressed, which is causing them to molt early. That is a possibility. If that's not the case, and they're just struggling to molt, it's because they have some type of mineral deficiency, whether that's calcium. It could be a number of things. Calcium is the most prevalent issue. So that's when you feed a mineral food. Great to have. You need to have it around in case you start experiencing molting issues. But also you can just make it a part of like, hey, I feed this once a week, I feed this once every 2 weeks, something like that. The next thing would be your protein food. And I'll go through like, we actually feed Shrimp Envy. So I'll go through like what these things are actually called here in a little bit. I'll take you up and show you like how much you get if you actually buy this. But this is a protein food. Why protein foods are important. So have you ever had a berried female, which for all of you that may be new shrimp keepers, a berried female is a female that has eggs that she's holding on her swimmerettes and she's fanning them and it looks like a bunch of berries. So we call it a berried shrimp. If you have a berried shrimp in your tank that dies, 99% of the time it's because she had a protein deficiency because she's such a good mom that she put all of her protein into those eggs, depleted herself, and died. You don't want that. So whenever you start seeing a lot of berried females in your tank, a protein-rich food is what you need to feed. So those are like the 3 staple. Like if I was only gonna do 3 foods, that's the 3 foods that I would do. So the next thing that, you know, a lot of us get into is like the foods that are, hey, they sound good, I think I should have them. This is where like the snowflakes come in, the shrimp lollies come in, the food feeding frenzy foods come in. You know, there's all these different things. And these things are like fun. I consider this is the treat. If you want to spoil your kids with an ice cream cone, boom, here it is. Give them that. If you want to switch it up so they don't eat the same things all the time, boom, here's that. This shouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to feed this once a week or whatever. I mean, you could, but you don't have to. You could honestly get away with feeding like a complete food every single day. this could be your staple. This is the main thing that you feed. You don't feed anything else, but the mineral and the protein are good to have in your tool belt. It's good to implement into a feeding schedule. Once a week is good. Once every 2 weeks is good. And so that is like the main things that you guys need to know. Now, as far as like Shrimp Envy, so we have these massive bags. These are the 500 gram bags. Shell Envy is what they use as the mineral food. So that's really good to have. And they call it Shell Envy because obviously, you know, if they're molting, they need to get out of their shell, things like that. The next thing it would be the growth food. Growth food, they're saying it's really good for babies, which I agree with. Like, I think it's good. But for me, number one purpose is for the berried female. So that's the growth food. The food fight is just, that's the junk food. That's the fun, and it's really not junk food. Don't get me wrong here. Don't take this out of context, ladies and gentlemen, shrimp keepers. The food fight is like, that's the thing that you don't necessarily need. But like, if you want to give your shrimp the best cuisine ever, if you want to be a 5-star chef and give them the best diet, hey, you might have a couple different types of food fight, you know, some mineral, like whatever, like you can get a bunch of different types of food. Now, this is the thing that you're gonna want. Complete Envy. That's the everyday food. That's the thing. Now, just because we're talking about Shrimp Envy doesn't mean like, hey, this is the only food brand out there. We used Shrimp King for the longest time. They had a lot of quality issues towards the end of us working with them, so we don't work with them anymore. They also, like, they're, as a company, they just do some wild things, and so we've just distanced ourselves from them. So like, I still think, like, you know, if their food, if the quality's there, you know, their food was really good. But I'm sure there's other companies out there that you could go with. For me, if you guys want my recommendation, Shrimp Envy is the best place to go, because if you're in the United States like I am, it's made here in the United States. You don't really have to worry about, you know, all these crazy tariff things that are going on. And I don't want political comments down below, so don't do that. You will get blocked. But there's things to consider. They make all their food fresh to order. So like, I ordered this stuff, and you know, we got this in, I think we got our restock maybe 2 weeks ago. They made it like that week. So like, you're getting like the freshest food. And I want to support them because they're good people. They're in our hobby. They participate in United States events. So like, all this stuff is just like good stuff. So that's why there's good people, and I just like supporting good people. So that's why I really push their brand, and you know, that's why we partner with them, because they're such good people. So anyway, I want to take you upstairs. I'll show you some other types of food that you could feed, some things that we really enjoy. I didn't talk about like Bacter AE, which is like my favorite food, and we don't have any over here because we're using it for our Odos right now. But I do want to show you a couple other things. So I'll take you over there right now and we'll check that out. So on our way upstairs, I just want to stop and show you guys, because we do feed the ShrimpFit and we do feed the Bacter AE. These are two products that I absolutely love. We mostly use the ShrimpFit if we're having issues. So like, just gives them a little extra good bacteria, gut bacteria, stuff like that. So we feed this a lot. This is where we keep our Odo sinkless. They come in with just like so many issues, gut bacteria problems. So we feed them the ShrimpFit to really get them up and going. And then we do use the Bacter AE a ton. So two foods that I absolutely love. So those ones I would add to the arsenal of food types that you can feed. But we're gonna take you upstairs. We're gonna show you all the foods that we do sell, and you know, kind of, and this isn't a sales pitch. This isn't like, oh, these are all the foods that we sell so that you should go buy them. The foods that we sell are the ones that we believe in. So it's just easier to be like, hey, like these are all good foods and this is why. And so we'll just take you upstairs and show you. But feel free to drop a comment down below. What do you feed your fish, or what do you feed your shrimp? And feel free to drop any brand that you guys think is a good food. And that just gives people more information, more options, things that they can go check out. Here's what we got. Bacter AE, absolutely love it. Great product, highly recommend it. We got 3 different sizes of that. We got ShrimpFit, again, already talked about that. Shrimp dinner, we've used this in the past. We don't use it anymore. So it's not necessarily a bad food, good food. It definitely works as a complete food. It's just not something that we use. But when we did used to use it, a lot of our customers enjoyed it, still use it. So that's why we still stock it. And then we got all the different, there's a lot of Shrimp Envy stuff. So if you guys are like on the fence about trying different stuff, this is what I recommend. Shrimp Envy has like a food variety pack. Comes with the complete envy, growth envy, shell envy, and then the food fight, which is the one that we talked about that you technically don't need, but it's good to have, just if you want to like increase their offering of different foods. And this one also comes with the baby envy. I don't really use baby food because I feel like it could foul the water too easy, because you know, I believe theirs is a powdered food. Actually, I don't know. That's actually, let me see if I got some. I know I have some here. I've never fed it just because like I don't use baby food. So let me see. Yes, it is a powder food. So the one thing with powder food is it can contaminate the water, because if you overfeed it, it dissolves in the water much quicker, which could cause an ammonia spike, which could cause some issues. So I'm just always very cautious with using powder foods with shrimp. So let me just look at all these different things. So snow envy, that is the snowflake food. This is something that you can put in your tank. It's not gonna foul the water. So like if you're going on vacation for a week and you're worried about feeding your shrimp, you can toss some of these pellets in here and they won't spoil in the water. So this is something that like the longer it's in the water, it just, you know, could produce biofilm. They'll just eat it over time. So this is a really good vacation food to have. Next up would be the bee pollen. Now this is just like, bee pollen is like just straight sugar. So still a good food, but you don't necessarily need it. Again, if you're really trying to give your shrimp the best diet possible, you can definitely incorporate this. Just as like, you know, hey, I'm giving them a treat. I like spoiling my pet. It's like my wife. Right now she's into spiders. Let me make sure I put that in the right spot. I don't want to, you know, have her tea. I didn't, so I'm glad I looked. She's into spiders. So like, easiest thing is to feed them crickets, right? Like crickets or something like that. No, this woman is literally going out, catching all these different bugs in the wild to give them the best diet possible. And I'm like, to me, I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense. But no, she just loves it. And so I understand that there are people out there that want to give their shrimp the best diet possible, give them all the treats, all the bells and whistles. And hey, that's why there's all these lines out there for you and all these different foods. We talked about growth envy. That is the protein-rich food that I highly suggest. Food fight is one of their most popular foods because it is a grazing food. It's just, for me, again, I don't use it. I mean, we have it, so like, we're gonna use it. But it isn't something that I'm like, hey, you absolutely need this. But hey, if you wanna give it a try, give it a try. Shell envy is the mineral food that we talked about. Complete envy is the one that I highly recommend. But down here, these are one of the most popular things. These are snail sticks. So, or shrimp lollies, whatever you wanna call them. So they have little ones for smaller tanks, big ones for bigger tanks. These are just, basically it's just like the complete food in a liquid form. They put it on the stick, they dip it a few times, and then you put it in your tank. And the reason that I recommend these, and this is the only reason I recommend these, is because a lot of people don't, like, they have a lot of moss, they don't actually see all their shrimp. You put one of these in your tank, push it down to the substrate a little bit. That's why there's like this. You push this part down to the substrate, this part is out of the substrate, all the shrimp come on it, they eat it, and it's a great time for you to observe how many shrimp you have. Is there any issues going on with your shrimp? Do you see any deformities? So these are really good for inspection because you can put it right at the front of the glass. No one can carry it away. So that's what these are really good for. Other than that, we don't really sell any other types of shrimp food. I mean, like we have like different types of snowflake food, but we're transitioning to the shrimp envy just because, you know, we partner with them, so might as well just focus on their line. We had a decent amount of like the glass garden, like shrimp snacks, stuff like that. We're kind of moving away from that. Over here, we're feeding a lot of Northfin foods to our Neocaridina specifically. We didn't really feed them to our Caridina because, you know, Caridina a little bit more expensive, a little bit more sensitive. You want to make sure they have the right protein. But 3 different foods that I do recommend that I've always liked for these would be, and I don't know where they're at on here, kelp wafers, veggie pellets, and then community pellets were like the big ones that I recommend if you were gonna do like a bulk brand that's cheaper. And then Bug Pro is really good as well for shrimp. So are these good? Yeah, they're not the quality of like, you know, the shrimp envy and stuff like that for specifically shrimp. But if you're just looking for like a bulk food that would work for you know, your guppies that are in with your shrimp, this is something that you could do. So there are other options out there, but really my goal of this video was to educate you guys. And the worst thing that you could do, this is my warning, is be like, I want it all. I'm literally gonna get everything and I'm gonna feed them everything, because you just end up having all this food, and shrimp don't eat a lot of food, and it ends up going bad, and then you have stale food. Now you're feeding them stale food. Best thing you could do is pick like 5 foods at the most that you're like, these are the 5 foods that I'm gonna feed. These are the things that I'm gonna have in. You know, open the bag, keep it in the freezer, only have out what you're gonna use. Don't just sit it on the counter, like make it last a long time. So that's my recommendation. Don't just fall into the trap of getting the next biggest food, the next thing that someone recommends. You know, use what you use and use it well, and don't be convinced to get something different unless you actually need it. So if you already have a protein food, if you already have a mineral food, and you have a complete food, don't switch it up. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you're new in the hobby and you didn't really know this stuff, then hey, grab some Shrimp Envy stuff, get equipped, and be prepared for any problem that's gonna happen. So with that, you guys make it a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. As always, God bless. We'll catch you on the flip side.
For more unhinged content, consider joining our Aquarium Club by hitting the join button. As a member, you'll get perks like weekly members-only videos dropping every single Friday. And let me just tell you, those are unhinged. Monthly discounts, we have exclusive Discord channels for you all, monthly Aquarium Club meetings, and exclusive in-depth educational content. Like one of my favorite series, Get Equipped with Flip, where we invite experts in the aquarium hobby to come on and teach us about specific topics. Listen guys, what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and become a part of our Flipaquatics family.